We're honored to be joined by Congressman Ralph Abraham of the great state of Louisiana. Congressman Justin Arakis from the great state of Florida. We're joined by Yorgos Mitsotakis, who is a member of parliament from the great country of Greece. Former ambassador, he could be a congressman. Former ambassador John Evans, who paid a heavy price for his truth-telling about the Armenian Genocide. You'll see him in this film. And of course, Armenia's ambassador here in Washington, who does a wonderful job representing Armenia in Congress and in the White House and across the foreign policy community of our great city, Ambassador Grigor Hovhannisyan. His counterpart is Robert Avedisian, who represents Nagorno-Karabakh here in Washington, D.C. He is an ambassador in all of our hearts.
Thank you.
So, with that, I know enough to get off the stage when it's time to get off the stage. So, with that, I'm going to ask you for a roaring Armenian round of applause for the executive producers of Architects of Denial, Dean Cain and Montel Williams.
Thank you so much for being here. Montel and I really appreciate it, and much more than Montel and I. We've been friends for a long time, and we are the executive producers of Architects of Denial. We have talked a long time about doing a project together, and we found something, because sometimes we don't agree politically. It's interesting to find in this town, I know, but sometimes we don't agree politically. But one thing we could certainly agree upon is that genocide is wrong and it needs to be recognized.
We've worked on projects in Africa, Feed the Children, worked on projects where we've reached out and tried to help other organizations and people who don't have a voice. And right now, it's a critical time in the world that we stop for a minute and recognize something that for over 100 years now, the majority of this planet does truly recognize. We need to get our Congress and our Senate to pass a resolution to make sure that the world resoundingly understands we will not forget, because a genocide forgotten or not even acknowledged is a genocide that continues and is a seed for a new one.
With that being said, obviously there's a lot of people draw a parallel to the Holocaust, which no one seems to deny at all, of course, because the evidence is incontrovertible and it's overwhelming. Actually, Congressman Abraham and I were actually just in Poland together. We visited Auschwitz. It was a very sobering, very difficult trip, but you know, it's not political. That's a human rights issue. And for us, people have said that recognizing the Armenian genocide is something that's political. We say it is not. We say it is a human rights issue, and it needs to be recognized.
But we have to face the truth. Architects of Denial has already met and been met with some resistance by the biggest deniers. In California, there was an opportunity there for a moment for deniers to try to thwart the opportunity for us to advertise. Here in Washington, D.C., we have been penalized and not allowed to advertise through the metro services on the sides of buses. Now,
we won that fight in Glendale at the Americana at Brand. It's a very large place. It's beautiful. And probably 80% of the clientele that comes in there is Armenian. Yep. And we weren't allowed to advertise because they called it political. Once we shined a light on that and made it clear, the Americana brand backed down, and they gave us advertising for free, which was good. We'll take the free advertising, but they allowed us to do that because the public pressure was such that they realized that they looked terrible and what they were doing was terrible, and denying it was no longer an option.
And the good thing is, in 6 days, 7 days, it will premiere in 12 theaters, and it will also premiere on demand, so you will be able to get it simultaneously, and this is almost unprecedented right now in movie release, so the world will be able to see finally the truth. Now, a lot of people would like for us to shut up and let's see the movie.
Yes.
And you'd see the movie, and then after you're going to have some questions. And what happened is, while we were out there talking, some questions were pretty universal, so we wrote down a few, and we're going to answer a couple here. You pick. It's like magic trick. Magic trick.
I do host a magic show, so yes, this one.
Okay.
All right. First of all, how long did it take to produce this? It took us almost 5 years. It's a long period of time, a lot of researchers, a lot of people involved, so it took a long time. It wasn't like it was an overnight project at all. And things like this aren't, because you want your research done well, which of course works into the second question, which is how many people worked on this?
Well over 200, maybe
in
close
the
to
300 ballpark. Yeah, so many people were there and a part of it, and some of those people are here, and thank you for that. It's an unbelievable body of work by a lot of people, and we're proud to be a part of that. What happened in Los Angeles about the ads? We just discussed that. Have we received any threats? It's an interesting question in today's climate. No, we haven't. Not that I'm aware of. So, if anybody knows anything, let me know.
And we're not anticipating any. But if you've seen some of the reaction just in the last 2 months by the biggest denying organization, I think that as they continue to react and attempt to stifle freedom of speech on American soil, you're going to see that our Congress and Senate is going to turn out a little bit more in support of making sure that they are held accountable.
No doubt about that.
Now, here is this one's a good one. Did you really go to Armenia?
Oh, absolutely not. Of course, we went to Armenia. We were in Armenia. We were in there together. We had a chance to interview lots of people, including the president himself, who was open to discuss this with us. Foreign minister, the prime minister. We spoke to everybody from the highest up to people from Syria, Syrian Armenians whose parents or grandparents had been marched through the desert to Aleppo, who now have to return to Armenia as refugees once again. It's a horrible cycle, and to see that and talk to these people was heartbreaking.
And that's part of the reason why I think when we came back, both of us just dove in with both feet. Because again, if you had asked me 5 years ago, do I know about the Armenian Genocide? I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth. I did 22 years in the military. I thought I was a military historian, and I had no information whatsoever. So to be on the ground and to go to one of the centers that was a hospital that was catering to Armenian refugees that were coming in from Syria that couldn't communicate and were having difficulty getting medical services, that's one of the most sobering interviews that I think I've done in the last 10 to 15 years.
We're almost done, I promise.
Yes.
We're going to get to the film.
Why did you choose Armenian Genocide? I think we hit that.
I think we talked about that. Yes.
Why is this important now?
It happened over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Why is it important now?
Yeah, sure.
I think we made that very clear too.
Absolutely.
Again, genocide denied is genocide continued, and there's genocides going on nowadays, and people aren't talking about it. And the more you can sweep it under the rug, the more difficult it is to say, look, here's what's going on. Let's identify it and let's stop it.
And I guess really the last one is, what do you really want to accomplish with this film? And I think for both of us and for everyone involved, it's just to get the world to stop when there's so much noise right now about division, and there's so much noise on the planet. You just saw what happened in Germany. And when the Nazi Party has a legal place in society again, we better start getting prepared for the genocides that no one is willing to talk about. And they're happening now. And I hope that this breaks some silence.
Absolutely. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen,